Title: The Unseen Frame. Chapter 1: Introduction. The envelope slipped under my door just after midnight, a plain, unmarked thing, its edges worn as if it had been carried too long. I'm Daniel Carter, a journalist who'd long traded headlines for silence, living in a crumbling high-rise on the edge of Ashford City. The building was a relic, gray concrete sagging under decades of neglect, its hallways dim with flickering bulbs and the sour tang of mildew. I liked it that way. No neighbors knocking, no questions. Just me, my typewriter, and the ghosts of stories I'd stopped chasing. I picked up the envelope, my fingers brushing its coarse surface, and tore it open. Inside was a single photograph. My breath caught as I stared at it. Me, slumped in my armchair, head tilted back, eyes closed. The angle was tight, close, taken from inside my apartment. From the corner by the window, where the curtains hung limp and the city lights bled through. My chest tightened. I'd been alone last night. I knew I'd been alone. The photo was time-stamped, 11:47 p.m. yesterday. I glanced at the clock now. 12:03 a.m. 16 hours ago, someone or something stood in my space, clicked a shutter, and vanished. My locks were intact. The windows, 5 stories up, were bolted shut. I flipped the photo over, hoping for a note, a clue, anything. Nothing but blank, yellowed paper. I can still feel the chill that crawled up my spine as I stood there, the silence of my apartment pressing in like a weight. The walls seemed to shift, the shadows stretching longer than they should. I wasn't safe here, not anymore. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in streaks of amber and violet, Elias made up his mind. He couldn't stay another day in Hollow Bend, tethered to questions with no answers. He slung a patched satchel over his shoulder, stuffed with a loaf of bread, a water skin, and a small knife, and slipped into the forest as the village lanterns flickered to life behind him. Chapter 2. The investigation begins. I didn't sleep. How could I? My eyes darted to every corner, every crevice of my one-room world, peeling wallpaper, a sagging bookshelf, the armchair still dented from where I'd sat. The photo lay on my desk, its grainy image burning into me. I grabbed my flashlight, its beam shaky in my grip, and started searching. If someone had been here, they'd left something behind. They had to. The apartment was old, built in the 50s, all narrow halls and odd angles. I checked the floorboards, warped but solid. The vents, rusted shut. The window frame, dusty, untouched. Nothing. My pulse hammered as I ran my hands along the walls, feeling for hollow spots, secret panels, anything Hollywood had taught me. That's when I found it, a faint seam behind the bookshelf, barely visible under the grime. I shoved the shelf aside, books tumbling, and there it was, a small, square panel, no bigger than a dictionary, its edges sealed with decades of paint. I pried it open with a letter opener, my hands slick with sweat. Inside was a crawl space, dark, cramped, the air thick with rot. My flashlight caught glints of something, a stack of papers, yellowed and curling, tied with twine. My pulse hammered as I ran my hands along the walls, feeling for hollow spots, secret panels, anything Hollywood had taught me. That's when I found it, a faint seam behind the bookshelf, barely visible under the grime. I shoved the shelf aside, books tumbling, and there it was, a small, square panel, no bigger than a dictionary, its edges sealed with decades of paint. I pried it open with a letter opener, my hands slick with sweat. Inside was a crawl space, dark, cramped, the air thick with rot. My flashlight caught glints of something, a stack of papers, yellowed and curling, tied with twine. I pulled them out, my breath shallow. They were tenant records, names, dates, apartment numbers. Mary Ellis, for B, vacated 1972. Thomas Reed, 6C, vacated 1985. Each entry ended the same, left without notice. Dozens of them stretching back 50 years. At the bottom, a Polaroid, faded, but clear enough. A woman mid-30s, asleep in a bed, her face slack. The angle was wrong, too close like mine. Scribbled on the back, Mary for B. She saw too much. My stomach twisted. This wasn't random. This was a pattern. Chapter 3. The Building's Secret. The high-rise felt alive now, its silence a lie. I grabbed the photo, the papers and my keys, stepping into the hallway. The fluorescent lights buzzed, casting a sickly glow on the cracked linoleum. I needed answers about Mary, about the others, about whoever was watching me. I started with 4B, 2 floors down. The door was ajar, hinges groaning as I pushed it open. The apartment was a husk, dust-coated furniture, a mattress sagging in the corner, air stale as a tomb. My flashlight swept the room, landing on a mirror above a dresser. Scratched into the glass were words, "They see you." My reflection stared back, distorted, my eyes wide with something I didn't want to name. Back in the hall, I checked the tenant list. Thomas Reed, 6C. Upstairs. The elevator rattled as it climbed, a metal cage that smelled of oil and rust. 6CS door was locked, but the frame was splintered, like someone had forced it once. I jimmied it with my letter opener, slipping inside. The room was bare save for a single chair facing a wall. On that wall, carved deep into the plaster, "Don't look up." I froze, my neck prickling. The ceiling above was stained, a dark, uneven patch spreading like a bruise. Something dripped, slow, deliberate, hitting the floor with a wet plink. I didn't look. I couldn't. My hands shook as I backed out, the tenant records clutched to my chest. The building wasn't just old, it was hiding something. Each tenant who'd vanished had left a mark, a warning. And now I was next on the list. Chapter 4. The Turning Point. Back in my apartment, I spread the papers across the floor, my flashlight cutting through the dark. I'd killed the overhead lights, too afraid of what they might reveal. The tenant records told a story. Every few years, someone disappeared. Always alone. Always quiet. No police reports, no trace. But the photos, there were more, tucked between pages. Thomas asleep at a desk. Another man, older, in a bathrobe, staring blankly ahead. All taken from inside. All too close. My memory flickered, unreliable as a dying bulb. Last night, 11:47 p.m. I'd been in the armchair, sipping whiskey, the room quiet except for the city's hum. Had I heard a click? A shuffle? I couldn't trust my own mind anymore. Paranoia clawed at me, the walls seeming to lean in, the shadows twitching like they had eyes. Then I saw it, a scrap of paper I'd missed, smaller, folded tight. I opened it, my fingers numb. A floor plan of the building, hand-drawn, with red ink circling a spot. The basement. Below it, scrawled in jagged letters, "They live there." My gut churned. The basement was off-limits, locked since I'd moved in, the super claiming it was flooded. But the drip in 6C, the stains, it wasn't water. I grabbed a crowbar from my closet, my heart a drumbeat in my ears. I had to know. The hallway was a tunnel now, the air thick, oppressive. The elevator shuddered down, groaning as it hit the basement level. The doors opened to darkness, pitch black, save for a faint, pulsing glow at the far end. Chapter 5. Moment of Self-Discovery. The basement smelled of damp earth and something sour, metallic. My crowbar scraped the concrete as I crept forward, the glow growing, a sickly yellow from a crack in the wall. I wedged the bar in, prying until the bricks gave way, revealing a hidden room. My flashlight trembled as it swept inside, a cavernous space, walls lined with photographs, hundreds of them, pinned like trophies. Faces asleep, unaware, all tenants, all gone. My photo was there, too, pinned dead center, a red X slashed across my face. In the middle stood a camera, an old, hulking thing, its lens glinting like an eye. Wires snaked from it, disappearing into the ceiling, the walls. My stomach dropped as I realized they weren't just watching. They were here, in the building, threading through its bones. I wasn't alone. I'd never been alone. A memory hit me, sharp and unbidden. My first week here, a noise from the vent I'd dismissed as rats. The super's odd smile when I'd asked about the basement. I'd been chosen, marked, the moment I signed the lease. This wasn't a conspiracy of people. It was the building itself, alive, feeding on solitude, on silence. I stumbled back, my breath ragged. I wasn't a journalist anymore. I was prey. But knowing it, seeing it, lit a fire in me. I wouldn't vanish like the others. Chapter 6. Resolution. I swung the crowbar, smashing the camera. Glass shattered. Wires sparked, a low groan echoing through the walls like a wounded beast. The glow flickered, dimmed. I ran, the basement shaking, dust raining from the ceiling. The elevator was dead. I took the stairs, 2 at a time, my lungs burning as I hit my floor. My apartment door hung open. Inside, the walls pulsed, the shadows coiling like smoke. A voice, not human, a rasp from everywhere whispered, "You weren't supposed to know." I grabbed my typewriter, the photo, the papers, and bolted for the exit, the building trembling behind me. Outside, the city air hit me like a slap, cold, real. I didn't stop, weaving through alleys until the high-rise was a silhouette against the dawn. I crashed at a diner, hands shaking as I spread the evidence on the table. The waitress eyed me like I was mad, but I didn't care. I'd write it. Every tenant, every photo, every warning. The world would know. Days later, I passed the building. It was still, too still. The windows dark, the hum gone. But I swear, as I turned away, a shadow moved in my old window, watching me go. I'd escaped, but I'd never be free. Some truths don't let you walk away. They follow you, silent, waiting. Thanks for watching. Keep learning, keep growing, one story at a time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.